Hey everybody, it's nice to be here today. I'm Jonathon Pierson over here at Pytes Energy. I'm a senior sales engineer here at Pytes, and I'm really happy to be here today.
Awesome, man. So, for those of you watching on YouTube, you may not have heard of Pytes. Pytes is probably a new product, and so I'm happy to bring an introduction to that product here, which is why I invited Jonathan on the channel. So, Jonathan, why don't you open up by telling us what is Pytes? Tell us a little bit about what the company is, what the product is, so that our folks here watching at home or on their mobile phones can understand a little bit more about what Pytes is.
Absolutely, I'm happy to introduce Pytes. So though Pytes might be new to you, Pytes has been around for over 20 years. Pytes started in Shanghai, China. That's where our headquarters is now. We started making 3C batteries for different Fortune 500 companies, Kellogg for different personal electronics, as well as healthcare machines. Through that experience, we actually started making e-bikes and e-motorcycles. So that was kind of the expansion onto our battery manufacturing. Rad Power out of Seattle, Washington. They're the biggest e-bike manufacturer in the United States. All of their batteries use Pytes batteries. So that's really cool. And then over the last 5 years or so, Pytes has started making energy storage. So energy storage has been the next sector of Pytes, and we've been producing that for over 5 years and been here in the United States for going on 4 years now. So it's been a little bit newer venture, but Pytes has the backing of a lot of power here. So we're going to be around here for the long run, and all of our visions here is long term. And Texas has been a great spot for us. Our headquarters is in Dallas, which is real close to you guys there in South Texas. So real close, and having a lot of new people here on the mainland for sure.
Now, the battery manufacturing space is a very broad space, right? We got Tesla, we got Enphase, we have Franklin, we have multiple battery manufacturers in the market. With Pyte being a battery manufacturer that supported e-bikes and these other things, getting into home self-storage now, what sets you apart from some of the other competition like home grid or some of the other off-grid maybe batteries that are already out there on the market? What's special about you guys?
There's a lot of different specialities here and differentiators. The biggest value that Pytes really brings to its clients is excellent service, and that's something that's echoed in all Solar Texas as well as True Texas Solar is service. When you guys call, we pick up the phone, we stand behind you from start to end. So our service, we go above and beyond to make sure education is very important to us as well. So educating everyone on how to install these systems safely in a manner where it's going to be efficient and understanding exactly what the system is going to do. These systems are designed to the client's needs. So that's very important, something we handle very cautiously and make sure that we almost over engineer things and set expectations up forth. Another thing that's really huge and valuable is our product. Our product, one thing that separates us as far as a product standpoint is we actually manufacture our own BMS as well. So we manufacture the modules of the cells and the BMS that goes in there. That gives us a lot of um, insight in what each of these systems are doing. And we've improved over these last 20 years with the BMS. So a lot of ingenuity has been going into this. So that cuts down on a lot of our service calls, getting the product right. Our failure rate is actually 0.3%. So with our batteries, so that's 3 batteries for every 1,000 is defective. And we catch that in so many different ways. Being able to manufacture our own BMS too, when we have a troubleshoot call, if something is going wrong and we've diagnosed that it's not a connection issue, it's more of a BMS issue, and we can do that by logging directly into the BMS through a laptop or through a Wi-Fi dongle, which we have app communications and web browser communication. So determining that it's a BMS issue, Pytes can actually send a BMS to the field to have your installer or your technical homeowner being able to service the battery right on site. That cuts down on a lot of RMA processes that a lot of our competitors do. So we really stand behind our product. And, also another thing is price. So high quality products here, always have a great big price point. Being able to manufacture in Shanghai, we're able to pass down a lot of savings on labor onto you guys. So that's something that really separates Pytes. It's one of a size fits all. Great service, great product at a great price.
And that's mainly why we decided to incorporate Pytes into our product line and what we provide to customers. We don't introduce any products that we wouldn't stand behind. So I wouldn't introduce any product to my customers that I personally would not have on my own home system. One of the things I like about Pytes outside of the price is also the modularity and the diversity of the product line, right? So why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your product line and kind of who are the customers that you're targeting in this particular market? Because I think we share a lot of the same customers.
Absolutely, for sure. In the gamut right now, residential and commercial is where we've made a really big footprint here. Flexibility is also one of our key values as well here at Pytes. A lot of our systems are modular in a lot of different ways. We can start with a 5 kWh module all the way up to the size of a 490 kWh um, battery bank in closed loop communicating within one system, which is really great. A lot of our partners or a lot of our competition, excuse me, can't do that because they don't have the key access to the BMS. The BMS and being able to balance with these larger systems really gives Pytes a big advantage. So having a product in your arsenal where you can, have a small residential to a heavy residential to even a commercial project is very huge.
Yeah, one of the things that most customers don't understand is that you can't use every battery in an off-grid capacity, right? So they'll buy an Enphase 5P or maybe one Tesla Powerwall 3, and that's not going to run your entire home, and it's not going to provide you with that off-grid experience. Pytes batteries is one of those where if you're just looking to be grid tied, but still have some home backup power, Pytes works because you could have a smaller battery bank, let's say. But if you want to go off grid, there's enough amp output and there's enough discharge and quick charging capability because it is a DC charge system, right? That off grid actually really works with the Pyte system. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your integration capabilities? What inverters do you work with? Which ones do you not work with? What are some of the better inverters that you recommend pairing with your particular product line?
Absolutely, for sure. We work with a lot of different inverter partners. We believe here in this field that it's best to collaborate instead of isolate. So we really are able to work with a lot of closed loop communication partners. Just going down the list here, our biggest partner is probably Sol-Ark. I can't say enough about their inverter. It's bulletproof. It can do off grid, it can do on grid, peak load shaving, time of use. There's a lot of applications that the Sol-Ark inverter does. And pairing such a high quality product with a great quality and low cost battery like Pytes is a real good way of success here in all of those applications. So, and what's really nice too is just to get your feet wet, start with an inverter like Sol-Ark and a smaller battery system for grid tied. You can work your way up and build a bigger battery bank over time, which is really nice. So you can have, obviously, if your goal is to go off grid and disconnect from the grid and you just want to get started, you have the ability to do that. And we can work up to the size to one day we can say, Sayonara, utility company. We are going to be self-sufficient and we're going to be off grid and we are going to be resilient.
Now, one of the things that you did mention is that the product is manufactured in China. Now, we have a lot of customers that would be hesitant, especially here in Texas, to go with a Chinese manufactured battery. So tell us a little bit about actually what goes on in China with regard to the battery market, because I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that most of our batteries are coming from the same area. Like they're all coming from China, but how we package them, where we actually assemble them, is going to vary a little bit. We have a tariff that's coming, here shortly. If Trump gets elected, we're going to have a different tariff structure than if Biden maintains power. And outside of politics, tariffs on Chinese products is going to be a factor in the pricing. So can you tell us a little bit about how you see that maybe changing the pricing, or have you factored that in? Like, what are your thoughts on supply and demand and the access to your product if these tariffs and when these tariffs go into effect?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, though we manufacture in Shanghai, China, our headquarters is here in Dallas. We have a warehouse here in Dallas, Texas, and we have a warehouse also in California as well. We have pretty active stock there, regularly all the time. Lead time for our products, with it being so close, is anywhere between 2 to 7 days. So, getting product is never really an issue with Pytes. Obviously, you've talked about the legislation here. And that's something we're always keeping an eye on as well. One thing about Pytes is we're always going to be proactive. That's what we have always made us a little bit different here in the battery infrastructure as well. So keeping an ear to the ground, we're actually planning on maybe green lighting here in a manufacturing plant in either Mexico and America here in the next several of years. That is definitely on our roadmap here and something that we have been heavily in conversations about. So, if anything were to happen, we also have a manufacturing plant in Vietnam as well. So those are the two main facilities where we're manufacturing our energy storage products. So if we need to, that's always something that we've had conversations about. And the way that legislation works is, of course, we have such little control over what really is going on behind the scenes. But rest assured that we're going to always try to find a way to have a great product at a great price point. And if that means moving over here to this continent, that's something that Pice is definitely on the lookout for.
So it sounds like in terms of supply that you actually have a pretty ready supply. I know Tesla Powerwall 3, part of the drawbacks of their success is they're now back ordered. So we're no longer able to order Tesla Powerwall 3s. They're telling us maybe Q1, possibly Q2 of next year, which is a problem. If you have customers that really want your product, but you're not able to produce it quickly enough, I mean, that is a problem. So are you confident that you can supply the continued demand that you see coming out of Texas with your current supply?
Absolutely. Manufacturing is something that we have in bulk, and something that we've really been a key value of Pytes as well. So outside of those two warehouses that I mentioned in the United States, we also have warehouses in Puerto Rico and as well as Panama. So those act as other resources that we have to get products here to the mainland a lot faster than being shipped over from China or in Vietnam. So and we have grown, Pytes has grown to the capacity of, we've doubled in size this year as far as a product sales standpoint and a team standpoint. So that's something that we are really encouraging, and we're planning on doubling again next year. So to way to alleviate those pinch points that Tesla is facing, we are increasing the size of our manufacturing team as well to make sure that demand is we see the demand is definitely coming. So having the supply to supply the demand is very important and something that we foresee and forecast, and have containers probably shipped over twice a month here from Shanghai. So everything that is in stock, like I mentioned earlier, we can get to customers within 7 days. So, right now might be a great time if you're seeing slowdowns with Tesla to give Pytes a chance and really see, because there's a lot of advantages, more energy density, all along a longer lasting product, and a brand that you can really trust.
So we've done several installs recently with Pytes. Pytes was also one of those brands that we had to get a better understanding of before we pulled it into our product line, right? But since
Absolutely.
we've been using those in our off-grid systems, we've seen a huge support and referral program coming from our customers because they're reliable. And like you said, we did get one battery module that I think was defective, and we had to RMA it. And within a week, we got the replacement, and it was in there. And since they're modular, they're kind of like Lego blocks in that way, where you can, replace the one battery module or one battery cell, and you're still active in terms of the rest of the battery modules that you have in that stack. So it's really nice to kind of keep you up and going versus the Tesla Powerwall 3, where if the inverter goes out, it's a single point of failure. You're having to RMA the whole system. You're out of solar, you're out of battery. Or if the battery module fails, you have to RMA the whole system. So now you're out of solar, you're out of battery because there goes your inverter as well. With Pyte, since you're coupling it with a Sol-Ark or some other kind of string inverter, if that battery cell goes bad, you just remove it, RMA that, and then you're still in solar, you're still in battery backup until that gets replaced. And y'all have had a very quick response time. And that was just the one, right? It was only one issue that we've had since we've been installing you guys. We've been installing you guys for like 6 months now. We're actually looking at some commercial applications with Pytes as well. So super excited about that product itself. Now, let's talk about the future. We have
Yes.
a lot of EVs coming onto the market, electric vehicles. Is there any application or integration with EV charging or EV charging stations, or if you're just having this battery system at home, are there any issues that we need to worry about with kind of the EV market and some of the integration capability there?
The EV market is so broad and there's so many ways to look at it. Pytes by itself, there is a lot of integrators that have EV chargers that Pytes does work with. So Pytes remains flexible in a lot of different ways. If you ever have questions of if your EV charger will work with the Pytes batteries, you're more than welcome to give us a call. But in the bigger conversation, these electric vehicles and adding more demand onto the grid, I foresee a lot, honestly, in the short term, more problems. And using a lot of bit more demand, that is going to cause ERCOT to have a lot more, maybe even grid outages. So that's something to really be aware of too in the short term. Are you protected? Is your family resilient? If the grid goes down, are you prepared? A generator is only going to last so long. So if you really want to protect your homestead, your house, getting a battery pack to and pair it with solar to be a more resilient is, really a good long-term goal to have. There's really no price you can put on being resilient.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's part of the stance that we've taken with our customers is batteries used to be a nice to have. It used to be an add-on if you had the money and you wanted to do it, it was nice. Now it's an existential component to any household, especially here in Texas. We have hurricanes, we have heat-related grid outages, we have a continued demand coming online, including demand from electric vehicles that the grid was not built to understand or to withstand. And so we are in this crazy point in our electric grid history where we have so much more demand, less supply, and the grid is more fragile than ever. So having a backup battery like a Pyte system that can power your entire house, not just your lights and your refrigerator, but your entire house, your air conditioning unit, your electric heat pump, anything that you have in your house that you want to back up, Pytes can take care of. That is huge. And that's going to be something at this price point with Pytes that's very competitive that I think most people are going to open up and be more flexible in. Right now, we've been doing systems with 100% of battery attachment, meaning that for every system that we sell, every solar system, we have a battery that is attached to that system. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's multiple, and it's like off grid or just grid tied. But batteries are becoming more standard in our design and in our whole process of what customers are looking to do. So let's talk a little bit about if we want to get into your product. If I'm a customer and I want to get into your project, we have a lot of DIYers out there, right? Do it yourself kind of things. So how do we get your product? Is that a DIY type thing where I could just go online and do direct ship like Tesla? Or is there another process I go to? How can I get more information on your product?
Yeah, absolutely. For one, you can always reach out to Pytes directly. I'm happy to drop my contact information below. And if you guys have any questions, you're always welcome to give me a call. We have a big distribution map internally as well as installers, in locally there in Southern Texas and even Central Texas. I'd recommend reaching out to All Solar Texas and True Texas Solar. You guys do an outstanding job with your installations and your service. It's second to none. And I've really been impressed working with you guys over the last 6 months. So that's my first recommendation. Green Tech has always been a big distributor of ours as well. So if you're calling into Green Tech and you can't get their Tesla Powerwall, you're more than welcome to ask them about the Pytes options as well. They have them available. So that's where DIYs and people that are looking for a high quality installer can really look. And we're always about here sharing information and bridging the gap between information and getting the right product to fit your needs.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jonathan, so much for just being part of this conversation. I'm going to get your contact information. We'll drop it below in the description, as well as links to the Pyte system. And like Jonathan said, if you are a customer and you're looking for a more affordable option that's still very capable, very functional, with local Texas-based supply chain and technical support, reach out to All Solar Texas or True Texas Solar, and we will design you with a Pytes option. And I think you're going to be really impressed by the capability. And like I said, we've been doing multiple systems now. I fully stand behind this product. I wouldn't have had this interview with you, Jonathan, if I didn't fully believe in your product, since we've seen it out in the wild now. It's been out in the field and it's been performing wonderfully. So thank you so much for coming on the show, man. And I look forward to the future, what Pytes brings to the battery market here, specifically in Texas.
Absolutely. I'm really excited too. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm looking forward to the next one.